Live. Good evening, everybody. So, as you may have already noticed, I advertised a stream yesterday, I believe. We This is exactly 12 months since we saw Lorne Armstrong in court, and I'm with the guys who attended court with us. Someone's got an echo.
No,
That me.
it's done now. I got.
Sorted, right.
I caught
It's
it.
usually it's fine, but yeah. So it's 12 months ago. In case anybody isn't aware, I travelled all the way, and it's something I have had a time sort of wrestling with in my conscience to see: am I adventurous or just sad? Maybe a bit of both. Who knows? But basically, it was a year ago when I went. I was in Maine to watch Lorne Armstrong get sent down. So I travelled to another continent to watch a sex offender in court, which is I'm not sure if anybody has ever done. This is the crazy thing about it, right? I'm not sure if anybody, certainly from my area, has ever done a transatlantic flight, spent over $1,000 just to watch a nobody get sent down.
And you know what?
For a
You
minor
can't blame me, man.
technicality.
You
Trial of
cannot
the
blame.
century.
You can't blame me. I may have made it more comfortable for you, but it was all your idea too. So
Well,
you can't lay it off on
it
me.
was you kind of. I'm putting some of the blame on you, dude. You did kind of say, "Why don't you come up?" And I was like, "Don't be ridiculous. That's a ridiculous." And I was like, "Hang on a minute. That's just crazy enough to work."
No, you don't remember. I was planning to go, and I did a trip, kind of a dry run, and you got more excited about it. And next thing I know, you announced you're going to come. That's what happened. And you weren't. It was last minute. I had nothing to do with convincing you. It was all the event
Oh, fuck
that
you,
did.
Shin. I was trying
You
to
got
like.
excited for it. You got
Thanks
excited.
for blowing me cover, dude. Right, you've heard it here, guys. My lies have been uncovered. Yes, it was all my idea. Nobody talked me into it. I couldn't wait to get to America
All
to.
right, I gaslit you then. I gaslit you. That's all I did.
Yeah. So, but it wasn't just obviously. It was a big trip for my friends who are with me tonight as well. So first of all, probably the person that made the second biggest journey is Mebs. Dude, thank you very much for coming on.
Was it was just kind of a I guess things just came together, and so I think I reached out to you, and I saw I could do it, and I reached out to you, Andrew, and I said, let's do it. And you put me in touch with Shins, and I said, I'm going to drive up. I had all the ducks in a row, had to do with a rental car that I had 2 more days on, and this was something exciting. I've been following Lauren for a long time, and I'm really glad I got a chance to go and to meet you guys.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? It's like you tell some people and they'd probably be thinking you was insane, but it's one of the. I've been to a lot of different places. Well, no, not as many as it's not like I've travelled to every country, but I've been to a few different countries in the world and done some cool things. And this is something that it was just a great occasion. It was great to meet you, and I'm so glad you came down to meet us. And other people travelling made me feel less insane as well. So that's good. But you travelled
Yeah.
all the way down from New York, didn't you, Mebs? And that was how many hours did that take for you to get to? Because you actually met us at the Canaan Motel, didn't you?
Yeah, it was about 8. I think I left at like 6 in the morning. I probably took like 8 or 9 hours, but it was fun. I hadn't been on a long drive in a long time, so it was fun. I used to drive a lot for work, and I missed the long drive. So,
You
and
were
I stopped on
texting.
the way.
We were texting on your way too. You were giving me
Yeah,
your progress.
I did stop at LL Bean, and I got a couple of mugs for me and my girlfriend that I still use to this day. So it was good. A little memento.
And dude, I've still got the gift that you gave me, the beautiful Boston hoodie.
My pleasure. I have a question for you. Were you able to play the Rocky DVD?
Yes, I was.
Okay. I
I
was wondering if it worked in
No,
England.
I had to get a computer program to make it work because it's in a different region, but it was relatively straightforward to do actually. So cheers, and it's everybody loves that fucking movie, don't they? You know what I mean? Including our friend Mr. Armstrong, of course. Also, Sox came down, and you didn't have to travel quite as far, but you paid for your lack of travelling for your with kind of. How can we put it? Delicate, and we'll get this out of the way because it was something Shin wanted to. I think Shin just wanted to embarrass him, but basically,
No, that
yes,
wasn't
you
it.
did.
No, that was not the point of it.
I know, I'm only winding you up, dude.
No, the point was that he did something, or he was able to fight through something, so he would never regret something. You know what I mean? We'll get into it later. But
no, we're getting into it now, actually. But basically, we kind of very briefly we had a bit of a pre-lawn party in the Canaan Motel where we all had a drink, didn't we? How much did you have, Shin? I can't really remember. Did you?
We streamed, bro.
No,
we streamed.
I know.
Oh,
How many drinks did you have?
Oh God, I was doing like martinis. I think they were in those. I was drinking slow. I was drinking really slow, so it doesn't matter. So even if I had 18, I was drinking slow. But I don't know, about 4 or 5. I don't really drink that much now, so it hit me pretty good. Let's talk about Sox now.
Yeah. So I didn't notice you having that much more than me or anybody else, but I did notice when we woke up, when we got up in the morning, you were kind of the last one to the car, and
Yeah.
And you weren't in a good state, were you, dude?
No, probably a couple one too many Bud Lights. I think there was Grey Goose going around. And not too much sleep for the weekend going into this, I must note, too. So all that together, yeah, barely made it in to see Lauren.
We had Bud Light.
As soon as we walked in, he, very lucky. He made it to the last minute. Was in the bathroom in the courthouse even.
It'd have been such a shame, wouldn't it, if for whatever reason you couldn't have made it. You know what I mean? I'm so glad you did.
That's the point of the story, Andrew.
Yeah,
that's what I was talking about.
I definitely was in the moment so much that night that, I was just like, man, this is the greatest time, for all of us to meet up like that. And, I just kept partying. It was great.
It was. We had good fun, didn't we? We had really good fun. It was just a great, because it was a nice little motel as well. It really captured the sort of spirit of Maine and what it's all about. Kind of some remote motel in the middle of the beautiful sort of countryside, and there was a beautiful girl that ran it. That ran the motel. She was lovely. She was telling us about her family and stuff, and it was great. I mean, I think you spoke to her quite a bit as well, didn't you, Shin? I think.
Yeah, I made friends with him pretty well. I was totally upfront about everything. Real quick, you look who's in the chat. Watson.
I know. It's amazing.
Hi guys,
Watson.
I mean, just to let everybody know as well, Watson, who you can see in the chat. She came with us, and
can she get on? Watson, do you have Skype? Love jumping on it, she says. If you do, I don't know how we get. I'm the last person to tell you. Okay, somebody help her out.
If you, I don't know if Watson has still got my number. If you have, you can message me with your Skype name. In fact, I can put my Skype. It's no problem. I don't think I'm that important enough where anybody's going to start me. So I'll just put my Skype details in the chat, and if you want to add me, Watson, you can do, and you can join in. But I believe you may owe Watson a little bit, Sox, because didn't she kind of look after you when you was throwing up?
Oh, yeah.
Certainly wouldn't have made it there without Watson, because I was in no shape to, I barely get out of the hotel room, let alone drive or, man. Yeah, all you guys together really helped me rally. in the late innings there.
Yeah,
that was great.
I felt for you because we've all been in that situation, haven't we? Where we've got to have a journey after having too many drinks, and it's not a pleasant feeling.
Well, another, the big thing about that is that the decision is already made that he was not going to go. You remember that? We were all kind of like, okay, I guess he's not going.
It's not a pleasant.
Oh, I hear it.
Yeah, there's a bit of a delay.
About that is that
somebody's got.
The decision is already made that he was not going to go. You remember that? We were all kind of like, okay, I guess he's not going.
It's not.
Somebody's,
oh man, we're having an inception here.
Yeah, somebody's got a bit of a speaker going on here.
About that
it's usually, I don't want to point the finger, but it's usually Shin's fault. This.
Is it?
Yeah.
He's not going.
That's usually the culprit.
We're having an inception here.
Let me see. Nope, not me.
It might have been me, but I turned my TV down.
Yeah, I haven't touched anything.
Right.
I haven't either. That's the thing.
Guys, can you just let us know in the chat? Can you hear any strange audio going on? Like, oh yeah, this is funny. It is a loop.
Oh, it was me. Sorry.
Oh,
have you sorted
I'm the
it?
guilty part.
Right. Well,
I am so happy.
It doesn't matter as
Listen,
long
I'm not mad at you
yeah,
at all, Mel.
I owe you.
So happy.
I owe you an apology, Shin, don't I? I do apologise, my friend. Although I did say it's usually Shin. I didn't say it's Shin, get it sorted. I kind of just...
I was convinced it was me too, so trust me, I'm okay.
Brilliant. Boy, I had to wear a straight face and hold my Brock socks. I love you. That's funny. Yeah, dude, you deserve the biggest cheer out of everybody for making it to that courtroom in the state that you were in, and you wore your sunglasses the whole time as well, didn't you?
Oh man, if you guys didn't tell me not to drink, I wouldn't have drank that much. You know, I
remember we were all resigned to you staying in bed, and I just said fuck that, and I just came in and said, come on, man, and we took it. I just put your feet on the floor first. Let's start with that, and then then you went into the shower, and I checked in on you then, and then handed you off to Watson when you're most ill. So
no, most great, and Watson especially. I cannot, she definitely held my hand the whole way in there. It was something else. We probably would have just had me sitting outside in the car or something. But
yeah,
no, once again, really,
we were going to come back and get you, but that would have been the biggest regret that you would have had.
I didn't want to have that on. I went to Maine for one thing, and we got it done. So that was cool.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. We had Grey Goose. That's what I had. I wasn't drinking beer.
Wait, Andrew, what did you call it?
What, Grey Goose?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that is,
It's a vodka.
Oh.
Some spirit.
Oh, I do remember having something. I think I mix my drinks, but I've never had that before. But I was a little delicate too that morning, but nowhere near. I wasn't throwing up. I do remember waking up thinking, shit, I went too far last night, and I did because I did some crazy dancing. I think we all did some crazy shit, really. But it was.
And what about the pilgrimage going around Cornville? We went by Lauren's house. We went by we went to the Circle K.
Yeah, well, I put.
And you guys went to a bar while I slept at the hotel, and you guys had a great time there.
That's what started the whole shebang right there. Went to the South Side.
That's what it was. That's what it was called.
South Side Tavern. Wasn't that up in Skowhegan?
Yes,
I think it was.
Yeah.
And big guy Bart with the big red ponytail he was the owner, but he was our best friend.
Yeah, I've got some photos. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll add them onto the stream because I've got more photographs of the actual trip.
We must have stuck out like a sore thumb when we walked in
It
there.
was good. I mean, it was more. You've got to remember, guys. For me, it's the first time I've ever been to that country. So just meeting people like that was kind of a big deal. Like to travel to.
Oh, that's true. I keep forgetting this is the first time you were in America.
Yeah, and it was. I've conveyed this in other videos before, but it's one of the reasons why I went. It wasn't just to see Lon, although that was the big draw. It was like to go to a country like America for the first time for such a fucked up, crazy reason is probably something not many other people have done. Well, it's not something anybody has done, but like every English person's life is intertwined with American culture in some degree. Not everybody, but certainly somebody like me who takes an interest in TCAP, who is a massive Star Wars fan. I love The Simpsons. You know, I watch American TV, I read American books, I listen to some American music, I love American movies, TV. You know, it's like it's part of English culture is intertwined with American, and if you've never been to that country, and then you suddenly there, and the thing is, you were kind enough to pick me up from the airport, Shin, and even just being in the airport car park was weird. And I remember, I'll never forget, I would literally just walked out to the airport terminal, and there was like Armstrong's construction in this truck.
That's right.
And then I was just kind of looking around, and then you turned up in the truck to pick me up, and
With Watson, and we had gifts for you too.
Yeah, well, it was just you at that point.
Oh, it was just me. Okay.
It was just you, and then you took me to the Hilltop Hilton, which you very kindly sorted out for me in Andover in Boston, and I was just I mean, it was getting a bit dark, so I couldn't see much of the city as you was taking me there, but it was amazing just to see. You gotta put yourself. Anybody who's listening, I think most people are listening from the States. Just imagine if you've never seen your country and not seen the scale and the beauty of it, and then suddenly be driving through. And then you get, you know, the Hilltop Hilton hotel as well was fucking magnificent. It was a great hotel, and you know, we had a couple of drinks, didn't we, at the bar, Shin?
Yeah.
And then you had to shoot off, so then I just carried on having a few drinks, and then I was like messaging people saying, "Hey, I'm in Boston," and then.
But what about your? You were greeted with gifts, though. Don't you remember?
Well,
for people
yeah,
who
I was
don't
going
know.
to get into that. So as Shin. As Shin picked me up, he had a very nice little assortment of gifts, which included Trojan condoms.
That's what I forgot. Okay.
Yeah,
the exact pleasure pack, though. The exact pleasure pack.
With the receipt from Walmart.
With the receipt from Walmart, yes.
Yeah. And also a little silver bracelet, which we can't forget.
And again from Walmart with the receipt,
yeah,
and it was $4.
Yeah, and
$4.99.
You can actually see it on the photograph. That'll be one of the photographs that's on the screen. No, you can actually see. If you wait till it flashes round, the one where me and you are in your office and you're showing me something from the Holy Lornography, because Watson was a great photographer. And
put aside all the work. We got to talk about this.
Yeah, there's a little princesses like what was it? What do you call it? The little princess thing on the what do you call it? You put on your head.
I don't know.
You got it.
Oh shit! I forgot. See, that's the thing. I was actually asking for myself too, because I kind of forgot what you got. I think you got. I can't remember what else. But then Sox came up with some stuff. He got us the shaker weight. We got to do the video.
And he brought me a load of gifts as well. Sox, you were more than generous to me. Like you
Dale
got
Earnhardt card,
yeah,
which was meant for Amanda. She showed up.
I had another Boston hoodie. I had a Maine license plate. A little Boston police badge that I've still got, like a little. It's in my bedroom. I've got a little memento area where there's the Maine license plate. The Boston police. I should have took it. I'll put it on some of my future streams. I'll take a photo. I've got all the stuff there and a couple of other things from like Thailand and places that I've been. It's pretty cool. When other people come in, I kind of take it down. You know what I mean? It's like Yeah, so and then the day after, Shin, you and Watson took me to downtown Boston in the North End, and then you very kindly we had some nice food and we had a cappuccino. We went for a little walk around the harbour, and it's not directly related to. Well, it's not. I suppose you got the Boston link to Lorne, haven't you? Because he wore a Boston cap, so I always thought that it was all it was all a nice little. It was all echoes of the Lorne saga, just being in Boston. Although, I mean, has Lorne got any actual history with Boston? Has he? Do we know if he's ever spent any time there at all?
Oh, I rarely even hear him speak. Say
Yeah, he doesn't really talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's probably a no then, isn't it?
He doesn't really watch baseball.
That's true.
Other than when Crestfallen mentioned about living in Boston, Emma's going to come travel to Boston, see her boyfriend, and stuff like that. When she's going to go see Dan, Dan lives in Boston.
Yeah, that's
it. Tiara, Watson just said. Shin, you got me the tiara for Princess Kayla.
Oh yeah, okay, that's right. That's right. Oh, by the way, you may have not traveled the furthest. It may have been Watson. What is the what is the distance?
What?
She came from L.A.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm not big on my geography, so is LA further than New York?
That's what I'm not sure about. Well, L.A. to Boston essentially is like 3,200 miles.
Ah, well, that's a yes then, isn't it? You couldn't drive it then, could you?
No, absolutely not. But I'm just wondering what the distance between UK and Boston was.
I'll look it up.
It was a 7-hour flight from Manchester to Boston.
Yeah, it's about the same.
Wow. Hey, she might have taken the title. She might have took the title off me.
Well, we're gonna have to.
I don't know if I'm happy about that, to be honest.
But yours was international, bro. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, Andrew, you got it locked up.
Yeah, you're right. We'll just lie about the miles if there's any uncertainty. So that was like a cool day, and then to see Boston, and then the day after is when you came and met us at the hotel, Sox.
Yeah, that was the first time I was going to meet you.
Well, and I didn't even know you were coming. Shin kind of kept it a little bit quiet. I was like, "Oh, hi, dude," and then we had a good chat, and then you were kind enough to drive us all the way to Maine. And we drove straight to the Canaan Motel. How did that end up getting booked? Yeah. Did you pre-book that, Shin?
Yeah. We took 2 cars.
Yes.
And,
yeah, that's right. That's right.
We had to.
It's a good job.
Actually, 3 cars. Well, Mebs was up there in his own car.
Yeah, but you hired a car, didn't you, Sox, for the occasion? Is that right?
No. That was my car.
Where am I getting hire cars from? Oh, right, of course.
I rented one. I remember.
Oh, right, of course. That's where
mine had a story behind it. I had a stolen car, and I had a rental car for a month, and it was due back the next day. And I said, you know what? I haven't had a chance to drive this car.
That's right. I remember that.
Drive to work. So I said, I'm going to make some use of this rental car, and just did it.
That's smart.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy, but well worth it.
Yeah.
I'm just so glad you guys enjoyed it. Because we were kind of expecting a few more people. Really, I mean, it's kind of like I think a lot of people wanted to make it, and circumstances kind of led people thought. I don't know. I was expecting a few more to sort of take the trip, but it was a weekday, so it was difficult for people to get down. But I'm just glad. I'm so glad you guys came and enjoyed it, because it just made it so much better. And so we got. It was a beautiful drive from Boston to Canaan, Maine, and because you drove me Sox in the car, and I was just kind of like, we kept stopping at all the tolls, and I was just kind of. It just amazed me. This is like a travel video this now, but I've If you think about it, what a beautiful part of the
The
country it
foliage
actually is.
was just turning
Yeah, well, it
color.
was fall, wasn't it? So
Yeah, it
if
was-
you think about, we drove through. You might have to. Didn't we drive through Portland?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Pretty south.
what? So you Boston. What's in between? What's Boston and Maine? So you got
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. That was it. That was amazing. All the
I'm so impressed with that. I
Took
like
me a
that.
minute.
We have like a small area here where Maine, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts, kind of a large segment of the population lives there. So, but then you have Vermont way over there. So,
but it was just I think it was about 3 hours? About 3 hours to Boston from Boston to Maine to Maine.
Yeah, about that.
Where it was a great
yeah, about
drive.
3 hours.
Yeah. And then we were kind of when we got to the motel, we were kind of a bit taken with it. It was just really picturesque, wasn't it? And there was loads of room at the back where we'd made those silly videos, which Watson was kind enough to direct, which you can see one of the photos from on the screen.
We'll cut that together at some point.
Yeah.
Andrew, I have to ask you a question. Did that video ever get played in its entirety? Has it been released?
Well, the problem is there's several cuts to it. I mean, it's got to be cut together.
All right, so it hasn't been
No.
finalized. And okay,
No, it's,
I thought I missed the world premiere or something. I didn't want to.
I tried to find the video. Watson, I believe, if you've still got them, and you've still got my number, because I know that you sent them via messages on iPhone, and after a certain amount of time they go. I've still got one of them on my computer, but the other ones have gone.
I think I have them too.
Do you really?
Yeah, I think you sent them to me.
Right. Okay. Well, we can sort that out another time. But we just had a bit of fun reenacting the lawn reality show. As you can see from the photo, like we had the lawn vest, which is something else that you got us as well, Shin. You got us the lawn.
No, that was Watson.
Oh right. Well, see, I've people throwing
You
gifts
got
at
the
me.
salmon tank tops.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Watson. Yeah. So it was. So then we kind of you tried to get your red down for a bit, didn't you, Shin? At that point, we were all at the. I don't think you'd arrived yet, Mebs, but we were at the Canaan Motel. You wanted to get your red down for a bit, didn't you, Shin?
Yeah. Well, I think
And
I
you failed.
did after all. Mebs, you had arrived, I think, at this point, but and Sox had too. So all you guys went to that south side. And I decided just chill. I didn't think you guys were going to have a fun time like that. I thought you just wanted to get a drink. I had no idea it was going to turn into all that information you got.
Michael, Mebs hadn't arrived, had you, dude, at that point? It was kind of later in the evening when you got there, I think.
Yeah, I got there a little late. It was, and unfortunately, it was hard to get in touch with you guys because the cell phone service was pretty bad up near the motel.
Yeah, that's right.
So we kind of when you wanted to get your head down, we kind of had a bit of a drive to a long sightseeing trip, me, Watson, and Sox, and we drove through Skowhegan, which was in between the Canaan Motel and where Lorne lives. So we checked out Lorne's, as you can see from one of the pictures there, we checked out Lorne's trailer and had a little scoot around there, and then there was a town called Skowhegan, which was kind of in the woods, wasn't it? It was kind of a great little town. And what was the bar called again, dude?
Southside.
Yeah, and we had a couple of drinks in there and some very tasty junk food, didn't we?
All right, and that's all I ate. I mean, I think that's all any of us really ate, but man, one more meal and I probably wouldn't have had the morning that I had the next morning.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, but it was.
Now that I think about it,
There,
it's
not
the hospitality.
Yeah,
Yeah, Bart was great.
Yeah, it was good. We went in this bar in Skowhegan, guys, and it was just really good. We had a good chat with the guy that runs it, and we were asking them if they'd ever heard of a chap called Lorne Armstrong, and they were like, no. And we just found it funny that we were asking them, and we kind of stayed in there. I think we had 2 drinks, and we were going to stay in there longer, but obviously we had to drive back, so we didn't want to do a lawn and drink, and drive drunk, and we had to get back at a certain time, so then we just drove back to the motel. And then I think we started drinking, and I don't know if you came before or after. I think you came before, Mebs, before we started streaming, and then you had a few beers with us, and we did the stream.
No, Meb showed up when you guys were gone, and I think it was just him and me, wasn't
right, okay.
That would happen, Mebs? Not that this is. Yeah.
Yeah, I got there after you guys went out to the bar, but it was just me and Shins at the motel for a while. And then you guys came back.
And then we partied and streamed.
Yep.
And had a good night's sleep, and then got Sox out of bed.
And it was about an hour to the courtroom, and I think
I think we got lost a couple times.
You guys did, I think.
I think we didn't get right there.
What were the driving arrangements when we went? Who went with who now?
You went with me, Andrew.
I was with Watson.
Right.
Yeah, you had to be
with Watson, but I was like looking at the floor or something.
Right, and you were on the way.
Yeah.
And then Andrew and I, and then Mebs had his own car. I think that's what the arrangement was.
Yeah. And then
Pretty
you guys
sure.
had to make the pit stop. So I got there first.
Right.
Gotcha.
And we got there just on time.
Like the nick of time.
Like, all rise as soon as we walked through the door. It's like they were doing
we were in danger because what happened where I believe the court case was starting at 10, and we literally got there just after 10 o'clock, and we were thinking, shit. I think me and you, Mebs, walked in, didn't we, initially together? Is that right?
No, I rode separately. I got there first, and I was actually in the courtroom.
You were in the courtroom,
yeah. Meb, you were seated
when you guys showed up.
Andrew, me and you walked in.
That's right. Yeah, we did.
And Watson went over and with Shin, and you sat with Meb, and I was behind you guys.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So you were the first one in the courtroom, Mebs. Do you just want to kind of describe the initial, what happened and how you felt when you saw Mr. Armstrong?
It was awesome because I walked in there and he was wearing the t-shirt and the shorts. It was like typical Lorne, like you're wearing in the shake weight video, like on the screen right now. And he was there, and I'm like, I see the back of that bald head, and I'm like, that's unmistakable. And I'm like, I'm in the presence of Lorne after 5 years of listening to him. He's actually here, and it was. I don't want to use the word magical because that's not really what, that's not how to describe this, but it was really just kind of awesome to actually have been there and get to see this. And his mom was sitting on the other side. I first came in and I sat on the left side, and I realized I was behind Lorne, and I realized, and I think his mom was on that side. She was maybe a row or two in front of me. And then I realized I just made an excuse and, walked out and came back in and sat on the right side because I realized that I wanted to be able to see Lorne. If I was sitting directly behind him, I couldn't see him. And that was my whole purpose of going. So then I came back, and then when you guys showed up, you joined me on the right side. So it was just a very fulfilling experience. I'll say that.
Yeah, surreal is a word I'd probably use. It was bizarre, but I'm so glad you got something out of it as well. And then I remember, it's coming back to me a little bit now. I walked through the door. Wasn't there a little window leading through to the courtroom?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sure that there was.
A small window.
A little
Yeah,
pane, yeah.
I remember seeing Lorne's head, and it's so unmistakable. And as I walked through the door, he turned round and looked at me, because obviously he wants to know who's in the courtroom. He wants to know who's in his trial.
He's always looking at his brother too. So
yeah, and he looked at me he was still sat down. He didn't stand up, but he turned round in his seat, looked at me with his lawyer sat to his left, and just kind of stared at me for about 3 or 4 seconds. And then I sat next to Mebs, and then I was just praying that you three guys, Shin, Watson, and Sox, would turn up, because I so didn't want to miss anything. But you all, I think you might have missed the initial speech from the courtroom. But you didn't miss anything important. I'm so glad. And then I think it lasted about 2 hours, I think.
well, yeah, they had a break,
hour
an hour and a half, a little shorter than that. I mean, they had everything worked out, but Andrew, I think the lawyer was on his right, closer to the podium. Reason why I think that is because I remember when I chose my seat, I went as far right as I could, because all I was seeing was the back of his head if I was right behind him. So I tried to get an angle way over to the right, and I was lucky because his lawyer was to the right of him, and he kept turning his head to talk to him. So I got my own views. If I had a camera, it would have been great.
Oh yeah, I mean, we'd still be going over that footage now, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
I wanted to sit on the far right like you did, Shins, but I didn't want to be so obvious. It was just kind of, that was the only reason that I didn't do it, because I was thinking the same thing you are.
Yeah. Well, you guys were basically as close to him as you can get. You were on the front rows, right? Right.
Yeah, or second row. We were pretty close.
I think
up.
Andrew was in the front row. No. Oh, you guys.
I was sitting next to him. So
okay.
whatever row, it was both of us in the same row.
Yeah. Sox, you were behind everyone?
I was behind Andrew and Meb.
Okay.
So
you were over to my left then.
Yes.
Okay. All right. But I got to tell you, though, seeing him, it is a very, very bizarre experience. Like you said, you know so much about him. You know his life. You know his PIN numbers, his social security number. You know everything about him. And when you finally see him, it's almost like you think you're still watching TV or something.
Yeah, it was kind of like meeting a movie star or something.
Wasn't it? You got that same kind of emotion that you feel when you see someone famous, even one of your idols. And I have to, it's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, for all
it's the biggest thing on NBC.
It's very true.
For all the time that we've spent listening to him, hearing him, and all the time invested, then to see him was like pretty big payoff.
What a way to see him as well, like in court in an orange jumpsuit with handcuffs, shackled.
It was salmon tank top. With,
exactly how he should be.
Yeah,
that's how he should be. That's where he deserves. He's in that place. But what was interesting, and we can maybe touch upon it in a bit, is what led him to be in that situation. We can talk about that a little bit later, but let's go over the court sort of situation. It's weird when you see him, because you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, it's Lorne. But he's not famous, he's infamous. And he's infamous for being a failed sex offender. It's the most bizarre thing. This is why, I think I mentioned this in one of my videos a few weeks ago. One of my bosses at work, who's a very attractive young woman who every single man in the fucking place drools over. I don't, I see her and say hello quite a bit. And the reason I'm mentioning her attractiveness is because this makes it more embarrassing. We were talking about something, and I can't remember. It was another one of my crazy spiritual techniques. And I said, listen, it's just one of my things that I do. And she said, I've heard about your crazy antics. She said, didn't you travel all the way to America to see a paedophile's trial? I was like, kind of. So it's kind of passed around work. I was like, it was so embarrassing. My face went red. But it was just such a bizarre thing to see him like that. Just to it's something that'll stick with me as well, and it's like, I don't know. It's weird because when you see somebody famous, right, you can justify it to yourself because you idolize them, as the words Lorne uses. You know, you admire somebody for it, whatever it'll be, an admirable trait, whether it be the hard work, the skill, talent, something admirable that they've done, some kind of charitable work, and you go, oh my God, I'm in this guy's presence. This is a guy who's done something fantastic. He's achieved something. He's achieved fame. He's made a lot of money. What the fuck has Lorne done? He's an anti-villain in a way because he's not even done what he's tried to do. He failed at trying to groom a kid.
Well, that's what it is.
It made us laugh.
Yeah.
Well, it made us laugh, but it's amazing what a failure he is because here's this guy spending 5 years in prison and he didn't even get what he was going for. He got nothing.
Yes, his whole life is a failed attempt. But with the kind of reaction that I got from him wasn't so much as I'm in the presence of a celebrity or anything like that, or starstruck, or it was more like like someone had done something, some famous criminal, like if I had run into Charles Manson, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I used to run into some high profile, but they were short lived people. You see them on TV, then I would see them in court, but for the most part, it wasn't like this extensive. I haven't studied anything this extensive before. And then
who has? I don't think any of us have. Even you as a lawyer, Shin, I bet you've never studied any of your clients or opponents anywhere near as much as you have with Lorne.
No, I study him like I would study if I was a football coach making play. I study every part of the game. For some reason it's weird. But it's easy though. It's easy for me though to think about it and to. But the hard part is trying to make sense out of it. Not just make sense out of him, but make sense about what my interest is and how I'm applying it, or whether I am applying it or not. And we've talked about that on some other streams.
Of course, it's something that's fun and interesting to explore. And obviously, I had to ask those questions. Because if you look at it from my point of view, guys, like I made a YouTube channel initially about making videos about Lorne, and it was something that became not at the forefront of my life, but it was a I won't say any, how can I put it? I spent a lot of time doing it, and it did change. I met a lot of people through it. I did a lot of social interactions. It was a creative outlet. I got got involved in a bit of drama, a bit of conflict. It was quite a big, reasonable portion of my life. So you make a YouTube channel. It's mainly dedicated to predators, but specifically pornography. And then you're opened up to a whole world of. It got me involved in the YouTube world. I met Adam, and then I went to spend a lot of time in Barcelona with him through pornography, and then I met all you guys and Shin, and which Shin does videos with me nearly every week. So if you think about it, for me, I visited America for the first time. I did a YouTube channel which was doing quite well until my first channel got taken down, and it was kind of a big deal. It was kind of like the accumulation of everything that I'd done. It came to a nice little. It was kind of a reward for everything. YouTube wasn't something that I got money out of. It wasn't. It was never a financial thing. It was just a bit of fun and a bit of a hobby, and then to see it all culminate in this trip to America, and then be there in that courtroom with Lorne, it's just, I can't describe to you what it was like. It was like fate in a way. It's like I was meant to be there. I know that sounds fucking mental, but you know what I mean. I'm a big believer in destiny, and everybody has a little path, and you do little things in life. Even something simple like I'm going on vacation tomorrow. Little thing, just for a few days in a Greek island, but it's little things like that that make life worth living, and this is something that I'll always look back on with fond memories, and we'll talk about it a little bit more later on, but it was responsible for quite possibly the funniest fucking moment. Nothing will ever top it. But I just wanted to know what I've been prattling on for too long now. What did you guys make of the initial start of the court case? You know, did it catch your interest, and did you find it all interesting? Sox, how did you feel? Even though you was desperately hungover, was you enjoying it?
Oh yeah, I mean, I wasn't physically feeling well, but inside, knowing where I was and what was about to happen, you know, I was definitely waiting for every word, you know, that the judge had to say. It was awesome. Yeah, I was excited.
Yeah, and I remember turning to you, Mebs, at one point. I think we were about an hour in at this point, and the judge was going into detail about Lorne's case, and I think I turned to you and said, "This is the most interesting, entertaining thing I've ever fucking seen," because we'd been following this guy's downfall, if you can call it a downfall, because he was already at the bottom. That's probably not.
No, it's a pool you can't find. You can't find the bottom. You can't sink. You can't send a submarine down far enough to find that bottom.
Yeah, that's true. But like to kind of to see his life and hear all the catfishes having a go at him, and to hear every crevice of his life and hear in so much detail why he continually fails, what he does with his time, we know everything about him virtually. We know what his insecurities are like. We know about his previous relationships, if you can call them that. We know about his family.
We've seen every square inch of his body. We've seen his little
literally.
And we've spent so much time fascinating over the chat log and the predator, the sort of attractions that he has to these children, his drinking, and then to see it all get spilled out by a judge in a courtroom scenario where it's even mentioned to catch a predator. They even mentioned Kayla's name because the judge called her Kyla. Yeah. It was so interesting. It was worth every fucking penny that I spent on that trip.
I'm wondering if anybody else. It doesn't make sense, for the judge to do this. But did anybody get the impression that he was talking to us too? In other words, he wanted his message. I mean, it's one thing to just between you and the defendant, and all these speeches, but he would glance at us once in a while. I mean, I know it's far-fetched, but isn't it? I'm just wondering, did you guys get that impression at all? Like maybe the judge may have been warned ahead of time, and maybe
I'm
a lot of people
pretty sure he leaked over to us.
Make sure you keep order in your court. There he is looking at us, but he was so perfect for the part, wasn't he, Andrew?
Well, yeah, he did look over to us, I believe, when he said, "You're not going to win with these internet people," because Lorne blamed all the pornographers basically for ruining his life. And he kind of looked over to us. But the greatest thing that he said was something that we'd never put as well. We'd never articulated it as well as what he did, which was so simple. He said, "Mr. Armstrong, you are not the victim of your own crime." After Lorne had whinged about everything that had happened to him, but it's like that was such a succinct way of putting it. It's like, dude, well done, sir.
You were caught.
Yeah.
You were caught on the show called To Catch a Predator.
Yeah, and he
So
was
there you
a predator.
go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
mic drop too. They did that.
I think the judge. I do think the judge knew who we were, and because who would come to a hearing like this other than, say, the guy's mother or maybe a family member? When he saw 5 or 6 people sitting in the courtroom, he knew what was going on, and so he probably was addressing us. I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
But there was somebody that was not a family member and was not part of our group that was behind the court.
Oh, yes, the unidentified assailant, yes.
We even went in the elevator with him.
Didn't he scoop us on the verdict? Remember when we got to the restaurant, he had already posted it on YouTube or something?
I don't know. he never identified himself.
We know that other people were doing streams, and they'd apparently got the information before we'd even, because we went into a little restaurant where there was an acoustic guitarist on at the side of the courthouse, and I very aptly had mac and cheese, which is the only thing to do. And yeah,
He didn't know any Heartland either.
he didn't, did he? The bugger.
He
Yeah.
didn't know.
But yeah, the news had already broke. It could have been that someone rang the court to get the results, but I don't think so quickly.
Yeah, who knows?
But
But-
so we had an unnamed, and it. I like the fact that we had this kind of mysterious figure in the courthouse. It's kind of added another important element to the trip. Really, I was like, that's pretty cool. That I was quite happy with that. So we don't know who that was, and we had. I didn't know.
A year later, we haven't figured it out.
Yeah, I know. Well, no one's come forward in any of the videos. So
Yeah, nobody
I
else
don't think it
says
was
that
a
they were there.
reporter either, because they didn't have any.
He wasn't taking notes or anything.
Guy
No.
had no gear,
Nothing, no note taking, nothing.
didn't have a suit on or anything.
No, he
was
was
kinda-
very unassuming. He would just blend in with the crowd.
Didn't he
wasn't
say-
Very
Yeah.
nondescript.
Didn't he stand in the lift with us on the way out as well?
Yeah,
Right.
that was pretty
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
I'm surprised that we should have struck up a conversation with him,
We should have.
because honestly, there was only 6 people besides his mother at the trial. It's kind of like, well, why are you here? It would have been a good. I almost did, and I think we should have, because he might have just been tight-lipped, but he might have just said who he was.
Yeah.
I don't think we wanted to tell him who we were.
Yeah, I think
I
that's
guess.
cool. I mean, it doesn't matter. You do your own thing.
Yeah.
We'll do our own thing. You
Yeah.
scooped us. Good for you.
I mean, what's your kind of memories of not the bits where Lorne read out, because everybody remembers that, but do you have any? What's your insight, Shin, looking back at the court scenario?
Well, there's, looking back at that, there's a couple of things. Number one, we take for granted that hearing went forward. These things are continued so many times sometimes, and sometimes they're just, and if they do go forward, they're just rubber stamped on an agreement and it's done. Do you understand what's going on? And they're out of there. This was just, everything just fell into place here. First of all, the hearing was held as scheduled, and the substance of the hearing was just like a full-blown trial, except the only witnesses being Mama Gwen and Lorne, and we couldn't have asked for anything better than that. And I did not expect that, and I certainly did not expect the lawyer to let Lorne speak on his behalf, especially when he had already another deal in place. Lorne's speech was just far and above what I ever imagined he would say in front of a judge. He just spilled everything. Nothing different than what we hear, in the dump, or in his phone calls. He's same things, same convictions, same values. Everything is straight. There's no phoniness there. And that's one of the reasons. That's one of the things I had mentioned earlier. Just wanting to know if this guy is real. That kind of proved that he was.
Yeah, Shin, exactly. Nothing changed from phone calls to court. Nothing.
You're right. It's a really good point to make that after it. And, I've noticed this a lot through people, and it's mainly due to alcohol, because I'm sorry if I keep harping on about the old alcohol thing, but, I'm going to really contradict myself nearly and call myself an hypocrite, because I'm going to actually have a beer on Saturday night when I go away, but it'll be the first drink I've had since January, I believe. But I think what happens is when you get people like Lorne, whose kind of escapism is alcohol, there's no room for growth. Having alcohol as a recreational thing isn't necessarily great, but it's not people do it, they can have fun, and as long as they're healthy people, it's not a huge issue if you've not got an addictive personality. But with somebody like Lorne, who uses it as escapism, if you're drinking all the time, there's no room for growth. So when are you going to go through that pain and suffering and grow and get through it? And he's the same person that got on the computer with Kayla and type that first word of "I'm a good guy." There's no growth. There was nothing. It's remarkable,
No.
really, and you can see on your screen there what I brought up is when Lorne very shamelessly got his mother to talk on his
Oh
behalf.
God, I can actually hear it as I read it.
Do you think this might be a stupid question, guys, but I'm pretty sure that Lorne wrote that out for her. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think we established that.
Totally.
And one thing one quick point I wanted to make here. I think Lorne doesn't have the ability to change his behavior, and that's why when he spoke in front of the judge, it was just like any other speech. He only has one mode of behavior.
Of course, yeah. I mean,
It's real.
yeah.
What you see is what you get, folks. And speaking of which, when you guys read this and you hear Mama Gwen's voice in your head, it's exactly what it sounded like.
I'm going to do a
Exactly.
little recital in Lorne's mother's voice like I did last time, just to...
Yeah, do it.
So, I am Lorne's mother. I have missed Lorne a lot. I am 79 years old, and he helped me a lot. He is a very caring son. He has 2 dogs that love him very much. I travel 20 miles every day to feed his dogs. Where he worked, he got free water, and he gave it to several family and friends. He also gave 40 cases to the homeless shelter. He worried about me talking on the phone while I was driving, and he installed a hands-free device. Once I rented a freezer on a rent-to-own plan, and he paid it off and told me they had a contest and I won. What the fuck is the...
This is exactly how she sounded.
Are you sure Lorne's mom isn't in the stream? That was so
Well,
good.
I've got a surprise for you guys. I can't... As I'm reading this, what does he think that this is going to accomplish?
You know what was really funny? The fact that you asked that, right? And how Lorne reacted, as if he assumed there wouldn't be a dry eye in the house.
Yeah, that's a
And
good point.
remember, the first thing he said was, "I wish I spoke before my mother. Now I'm too broken up to speak," or something like that.
Yeah, I mean...
Just the idea that he thinks that would just bring down the house.
How about
what his
that?
mother just did.
How about that dramatic pause to get that water?
Get that water. Yeah.
He had that jug of water.
Yeah. Before he went to Al Pacino and Son of a Woman on us.
Yeah.
I was listening to, Lorne calls today, and one of the calls when he was on with, he was on with, it wasn't Winnie, but he was on the call, and he said something to the effect of, my mother, you should fly out from California, from Ember. It was with Ember, and he was saying that Ember should fly out from California to see his mother. His mother was so important. It was just the outsized importance of his mother is just crazy. I guess that's what I was trying to say.
No,
Yeah.
you're right, and it's an important point to bring up. He's always had a very strange relationship with his mother that we've always tried to look into. We've made fun of it, and God bless her, Mrs. Armstrong. She's been through a bit. I don't wish her any harm at all. Despite some people saying, I mean, she's obviously, she took on a little bit too much. I think that's clear. But she did something that 99% of people would do, and that's stand by the children no matter what they. There's unconditional love there, isn't there? Even though she knows is deep down that he's a shit, basically. But she stood by him.
He wouldn't. No one there.
And he doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve it.
And I'll bet he didn't want Roy to be there.
No. But
Roy would have been there, I think.
I don't know, though. Do you think he'd have gone all that way?
Well, if anything, to help Mama Gwen, I'm assuming. but it's so sad to think that if his mother wasn't there, it would have been an empty courtroom. No one no one in support of Muna's side. No one at all. Even though he has relatives at home.
Yeah. So then we get onto Lorne's speech. We won't go into it in too much, but it's interesting. Like you said, Shin, immediately, oh, I wish I would have spoken before my mum because it's her. Jesus. It's like
That's right.
he's trying to
That's right.
use the fact that his mum's spoken for sympathy, and he's trying to make it look like he cares for her, and he wish he hadn't have got her to say that. It's kind of like she's finished speaking, and he still can't stop like taking
Well,
advantage
he's
of her.
trying to take advantage of the perceived momentum. He thinks there's emotional momentum going on right now, so he's going to keep the moment going. He's such an idiot.
I know, and it's funny, isn't it? His next line is, "I want help from probation." It's not, "I'm sorry," or "I've done this."
He's blaming them.
It's, I want help from probation. It's all the onus is on somebody else. So already he's mentioned his mum. He's thrown the sympathy card. He's tried to use her. He's called to a fucking greater witness, to Jesus. I want help from probation. I don't know how to handle this stuff that's online. Well, that doesn't make any sense. What's he referring to? He knows how to handle the fucking chat log quite well, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, it's not just that, but
delete your archives.
I don't know how to handle this stuff online. It's just what he's there for. He's talking. It looks like he's beginning to say, "I wish I can get help from probation to deal with what I'm dealing with," and then suddenly,
fight my battles.
What's going on online with him? And it's like the worst thing he could say right there, and that's where the judge lays into him later. But please proceed, Andrew.
It's not easy because it's not something I'm used to. What, online stuff isn't something he's used to? Are you kidding? He spent basically every fucking day since he went to Nashville involved in the internet to some massive degree. He spent years doing his fucking lawsuits. He spent a month long online talking to Kayla. He tried online at this point as well. Don't forget he tried to do online businesses as well. He set up that mygodaddy.com to flog t-shirts. So that doesn't make much sense. I almost want to say I don't know what they want from me. What does he mean by saying I almost want to say I don't know what?
No idea. It actually made more sense when he was saying it than reading it.
Yeah, well, it could.
It's weird. It just sneaks by you when he says it.
It's interesting. I almost want to say I don't know what they want from me, rather than I don't know what they want from me. So he does know what they want from him, is what he's saying. So his lies are very easy to uncover. I don't know how to deal with it, and I hate it when people think bad of me. Oh dear. And I try to do the right thing. What? Try to. I try to do the right thing, but sometimes it winds up being
try to quit smoking.
Well, that's really interesting. So in other words, he gets it wrong all the time. With me not being online, I can't sell my such a thing as like a blank. I wrote a book when I was in jail before. I've got 50% of it that's going to Wounded Warrior Project. So in other words, nothing. 50% of nothing, Lorne, is nothing. And I can't even sell it online. And I've got people online that are reading it and making money off it without my permission. That's not true at all. And they're making money off my name without my permission. You can't protect me. I can't protect my family. What the fuck are you talking about? Nothing makes any sense. The only thing I really want to do on YouTube is to be able to sing and do my cooking shows, and that's when I lost my shit. It's in that you got to remember, guys, if you're listening to this now.
Yeah, you lost it there.
That was the best part of the day.
Yeah, it's the way he was crying when he was saying this. He was like, "I really want to sing and to do my cooking shows." He was saying it as if he was still in the interview room and he was just about to be interviewed when he got busted. So
it's like his lawyer
sounded
told
like
him,
a phone call.
Yeah,
write something that will make everyone hate you, laugh at you. You know, it's like and say that. It's absolutely everything's so disjointed. These paragraphs have 4 or 5 different subjects in them. Sometimes it's weird the way he writes. Did he read this or did he?
I don't think so. There was no proofreading here. Let's be honest.
No. I'm just wondering, was he reading in court or
Yeah,
was
yeah.
he?
This wasn't. I'm pretty sure this wasn't spur of the moment. I don't, that's a good question, Shin. I can't know that you've asked it. I don't know. But can you guys remember?
He didn't have any notepads
Do you not
or
think?
anything that I don't think he pulled out a folded up.
Okay, this is
note or
off.
anything.
Okay, I forgive him then.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, we can give him a bit of leeway, but this is still, it's interesting because this is all from, in fact, it makes it better that it actually makes it better that this wasn't written down because this is all straight from him and we can tell a lot because lies are easy to spot and truth is generally easy to spot. So, you know, it's interesting.
John Pedersen made an interesting comment. He said, so basically he's arguing to the judge that when he's in jail, he can't benefit charity.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's just great. I mean, do you
Because
know
he
what?
writes books.
Yeah, if he was making millions of dollars, you could almost understand it. The judge might think, well, actually, those starving kids could do with that money. Let's give him a break. But like we've just alluded to, 50% of nothing is nothing. So there's no money going to the Wounded Warrior Project.
Understand is he doesn't have to prove above and beyond being a good person. In other words, doing charitable work and doing the homeless, and all he's got to do is show to the judge in probation that he's normal and law-abiding. That's it. He could be express himself as the most boring person in the world, who's not charitable or anything like that. They don't need all that. That's what he thinks that they need. They just want him to be a decent human being, and tell us
stop
go to work at night, get up early, things like that. Not basic stuff. He wants to jump into the the altruistic heroics of himself, perceived rather. So
Yeah, he's not there yet.
no, he's not even. He's got to get to get the point even first, before you can start getting additional brownie points.
Yeah, so that when he said to do my cooking shows, that was when you've got to understand the context, right? This is a guy who's pleading for his freedom in one of the most formal environments you can ever have in the civilized world. It's a courtroom, which is a symbol of the justice that's been created by humans, the modern human. They've created a court system which is there, which is a symbolism of everything that humans have achieved with regard to keeping people safe, keeping law and order, and keeping a civilized society, and the courts signify that. And this guy is stood up in a courtroom pleading for his innocence after basically he's there because he tried to molest children, and he said, I want to do my cooking shows in a crying voice. And
That's it.
They should have just thrown him in jail right there.
Yeah, we should stress the
Said,
fact
"Fuck you."
that he started off with a slow whimper and turned into just a big slobbering mess. His crying got more and more increasing, and I think that's probably what he's doing here. He's working himself up with these words.
But to say that the cooking shows were something that we all made fun of, right? So he had his YouTube channel, which was funny enough. I mean, it's a spectacular thing in entertainment history, the fact that Lorne Armstrong had his own YouTube channel. His cooking shows were appalling, quite possibly. I don't think there'll be any cooking videos on the whole of YouTube that are any worse than Lorne's, hosted by a sex offender, in a trailer, shoddy camera work, terrible communication skills, to teaching you to make portless bites. Something that people only watch so that they can call him a child predator and make fun of him. And he mentions that in the court scenario in a crying voice. It just tickled me so much. 20 minutes I was laughing, and I had my head down as well. I thought I was going to get kicked out. Like, I just couldn't I just,
I thought that was pretty insensitive of you,
I know,
Andrew.
sorry.
Crying his eyes out and you're laughing. Seriously?
I think I deserve as much credit.
Yeah, nobody ever laughs at Lauren when he cries.
I deserve as much credit for holding it together and not getting kicked out than Sox does for actually making it there hungover. I think we're equal on that score. Other than that, I don't care to be online. I don't care to even engage with anybody online. He does it all the time. I don't know how to go about keeping them away from me and attacking me and my family. I can't get probation to help me with that because they don't even know how to. He fucking hates probation, doesn't he? And that's the part. And that's part of what makes me drink, and I don't want to drink anymore. So he's blaming probation for making him drink,
everything.
and I don't want to
God.
put my mum through this. That's all. Oh, he's such an insufferable tosspot, isn't he? It's like you just want to. You feel like Homer strangling Bart, don't you? It's like sometimes I just like to, It's like fucking. God, he enrages you, doesn't he? He really does. Oh yeah. So and then should we have a look at the? I don't know whether you guys are looking at the screen, but should we see if we can just find the judges? Summing up the court. So, Mr. I'm going to speak to you very briefly. As I do, I'm going to tell you.
Oh yeah.
Can you see the screen, Shin?
I can see. Well,
do you want to read it, dude? Because you're
you're doing great. Hang on a second. Let me refresh my screen.
Okay. Well, it's just that you've got more of a court presence voice than I have. I think. So I'd like you to recite the judge's speech.
Got it. But the thing is, I'm not sure if you'll be able to scroll with me. But here we go. So, Mr. Armstrong, I'm going to speak to you very briefly. As I do, I'm going to tell you what sentence I'm going to impose, and then I'll ask you to stand for the imposition of the sentence. You got to scroll for me. That's why I'm not sure if I can do this, Andrew.
Do anything for you, Shin, and I am scrolling for you right now, dude. Just bear with me.
Okay.
Three, two,
Right there.
1, right there. Come on. God, I didn't realise how much of a delay we have. There we go.
There we go. That's okay. There we go. So you've got two overriding issues. And the first is, and I think the most prominent, is your alcohol abuse. You've got to figure out a way to stop drinking. The drinking isn't doing you any good. It's causing you to bump heads with probation. But more than that, it's just not doing you any good. When people drink, they lose control. They lose their inhibitions. And they do stupid things. And they act foolishly. And you don't need to do any more. You need to do that anymore. You don't need alcohol. It's not good for you. And what you have to do is look at yourself in the mirror and accept the fact. You got to scroll.
Yeah, well, he says here, and it's something maybe we can ponder on just before the scroll catches up with you. He says, accept the fact that you're an alcoholic, which is,
Missed that part. Okay. Accept the fact that you're an alcoholic. You drink too much even when it's not good for you. And you need the help of other people who can guide you away from drinking. It's a tough drug. It's a hard drug. There are a lot of alcoholics. There's no shame in it. The shame is not accepting the help. So that's the first thing. You have to confront your alcoholism. Part of alcohol abuse is that people try and hide it and they start sneaking around. And it's not, if you, I need to scroll again, sorry. If you sneak a drink, you're not fooling anybody. The next thing is this online business. And I can tell you the best thing for you, Mr. Armstrong, is just pretend it doesn't exist. Just cut it off. You don't need it. In some ways, I think the world would be a lot better off if we didn't have an internet and we didn't have email, didn't have it's created a lot of good, but it's created a lot of scroll.
Sorry, dude. He said it's created a lot of unexpected harm. So Judge Woodcock is not pro-internet, it would seem, which is interesting. Lorne would probably agree with him because it is the blasted internet. Fucking internet. that's led him into this.
Well, I don't think so. I think that the judge isn't anti-internet. I think he's saying in some ways,
Yeah.
and in this particular case, as for you, it's a bad thing. You know, if people are talking about you online and you don't go online, you'll never know. You'll never know about it. Just divorce yourself from it. So somebody wants to say something about you online. If you don't hear it, you'll never know it. And pretty soon, it's like everything else. You keep putting your head up, someone's going to take a shot at you. If you keep your head down, they're not going to pay any attention to you. Over time, you're going to disappear on the internet. But if you rile them up, you're going to go after. They're going to go after you. There's no talking to people on the internet. You're not going to convince them that you're a good person. It's not going to happen. I think that's when he looked at us. They'll never meet you. They don't know you,
They did.
and all they know about you is your criminal history. You're not going to suddenly change their mind. Oh, tells me he's a good guy, so I ought to believe him. They're not going to
Do
believe
you know what's
you.
funny about that, Shin? I'll just stop you there. He's like, I'm a good guy.
Yeah, I'm safe. They're not going to believe you, and they think it's fun to provoke you. Oh yeah. So just cut it off. You don't need it. Listen to the radio, read a book, watch TV, but don't go on the internet. And I think what's happening in part is that you drink too much and you go on the internet, and then you're really asking for it because you're not acting sensibly either. So you've got two things you've got to scroll, please.
Sure.
Control.
Control. Keep going, Andrew.
Yeah, you should be able to see it, dude.
Okay, you've got to control your alcohol use. You've got to control your internet access. If you stop drinking alcohol, that's a huge first step. And the second step is stop going on the internet. Just leave it. If you do those two things, I think you'd be an awful lot happier. That's you, Andrew.
Okay. Right. Okay. The
Well,
defendant. What do I do about? He's going to talk to you
He's going
right
to
now. Just all right. So then he carries on a little bit. So Lorne tried to interject a little bit. Then didn't he? He said, "What do I do about it?" And then
The best part's coming up, though.
yeah.
You got to scroll the other way just a second. There we go. Just leave it behind. That's what. Excuse me. That's what I'm telling you. Just leave it behind. That's my best advice. Leave it behind. The problem you've got is that you committed a crime that makes people angry, and you committed a crime that worries people because they all love little 13-year-old girls and they worry about them. And you could ask any father or any mother out there. They worry themselves sick that someone is going to contact their daughter on the internet and they won't know about it. And some guy's going to drive across state lines to try and visit them and have sex with them. That's something you did. And you're not going to keep going. Change anyone's mind about it by going on and arguing with them on the internet. So just cut it out. If you keep doing it, if you keep drinking too much and you keep going on the internet, you're going to spend more and more time in jail. So listen to Mr. Turgeon. He's very fine. He's a very fine officer. He's a good officer. He's a good man. He can help you, but I think it's where he says, don't turn him into a cop.
Just a sec.
But if you don't, if you start disobeying him and start lying to him, start sneaking around, he's going to turn into a police officer, and you're going to be back here, and I'm not going to be happy to see you. Do you understand what I'm telling you? That's pretty much it. Yes, sir.
So when did he say the bit about you were not the victim of your own crime? It must have been around about.
That was when I think it's either. I think it's further down into the transcript. Because there were two times when he addressed him, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
Is this the end? And then it was previous to it then. Because he's imposing a sentence right here. So that should be the end.
Oh So yeah, this is just where he's basically
And all the
talking about
conditions.
about what he's gonna the terms of. So we don't really need to go into that. I mean, we
Yeah,
can.
and I think he may have been responding to his defense lawyer's argument too.
Right.
No, not Lauren.
Right. Yeah. So there we have it. That was, and it was fascinating to hear that when you're there in court and to hear that read out there for the first time, and it was like you're watching a film you've been looking forward to for so long, and you can't keep your eyes off the TV, the cinema screen, and you're just like glued to it like a zombie, just what's going on, it was really interesting. Watching the finale of a great play or something, that was kind of what it was like. I mean, I'd expected Lorne to be back in prison by now, to be honest.
Well, I think Dan may have slowed anything down if he's doing a thing.
Wow, that was
Sox, is that you again?
No, that's not me.
That's my train. Sorry,
Oh,
I feel like Ember.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, so I think we've done a little we've done a good job of sort of recounting everything. And was there anything from the kind of day or the court that you guys want to mention that we haven't covered? Any kind of things that stick out? Anything you want to say about the experience?
We got to see Mama Gwen after the court, which was kind of and I think Shins was going to help her across the street, if I recall.
Yeah, and then Aunt Sharon came running over and pushed me out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah, that was such a shame.
Yeah, that would have been. I did get a picture of Mama Gwen, and I would have just loved to have a picture of Shins helping her across the street. That would have been. That would have been our proudest moment.
I wouldn't have done that, but still, it would be great if she agreed to do an interview with us, Andrew.
You ain't so great. They don't think you're so great.
She knows what's going on. That's the thing. She knows what's going on. Everything, the catfish, everything, and she's got to deal with this foolishness. I'd love to get her, her feelings about things.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that would like to interview in the Lorne Saga family, previous, like Amanda James, the real Amanda James. I mean, God, Paula, victim number one. We're never going to do it, and even if the situation was presented, it wouldn't feel right. But you'd love to know what Lorne's behaviour was like in previous. I don't know. Saying that though, it wouldn't really be any different. We pretty much know how he reacts, what his mind's like, and there's nothing really about his behaviour, but I suppose there's past instances that we want to know about. I want to know mainly what he was like in as a child, as a teenager, and what led him on this path. What decisions did he make to turn into this dismal fucking person,
I think somebody could get a copy of his high school yearbook, and from there maybe find some of his classmates, find some club he was in or something, and look somebody up and get that information. It would kind of be interesting to know if, like, they voted him most likely to molest a child. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Or even more. You're right, Andrew. You just want to learn so much more. You feel like you're just scratching the surface here. But more importantly, what's at the basis of all these bad decisions that he makes his whole life?
Because I've noticed that, like, there's someone close to me, not a family member, but a close friend, is exhibiting behaviour which I find fucking appalling. And I was talking to you about it, Shin, wasn't I, the other day? There's no need to go into detail about that, but this is someone that I spent a lot of time with, who I had a lot, feelings for. I mean, it's not, you don't have to be. You could even love a friend without being gay or anything, but it's like I have to question, like, why did this guy turn into a morally absent human being? What happened you know, and it's like he's just made poor decisions and they've spiraled out of control.
You were there and you don't know the answers.
Yeah, and I always find it interesting to ponder on them. I always try and study the darker aspects of human life and not just dismiss people as... It's very easy to dismiss people and just call them evil or just call them bad and twisted, and of course they are in some ways accurate descriptions, but it's always important to try and understand. It's like there's on Netflix in the UK, I'm not sure about Netflix US, but the Chris Watts documentary has just been released.
Yeah, you got that.
It's not... The documentary, I don't think, was one of the best put together documentaries ever, considering how interesting the case is. But it highlighted, you've got a guy here who had, you know, 2 beautiful young children and a wife that loved him. The relationship was, you know, not going great, but then he just murdered his children and his wife.
Yeah,
It just doesn't. You cannot even comprehend it. You know, I watched it with someone, you know, a friend of mine before, and we were like trying to figure it out. And he was he was a bit pissed off because he had a new girlfriend.
That's kind of a different realm than what we're dealing with.
It is, but it's what I'm trying to say is,
Yeah.
what people would believe evil behavior. You know, I'm interested.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, we know so much about Lauren, and as much as you could learn about that case, the thing about it is, to us, Lauren is now predictable. We can figure out what his decision or what he'll say or, you know, how he'll react. Most likely, you know, I think we'd have a good idea because we know him so well at that point. Chris Watts, we don't know. You know, a lot of people couldn't predict that he would do something like this.
Of course, but just like Chris Watts and Lauren, I'd like to know about his past, his distant past, rather than the near. The near sort of the recent history, because it's just a mirror of what's going on now, and people like him exhibit the same behaviour all the time, don't they?
Yeah. Yep.
So, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Sox, dude, I hope you've not been hungover while participating in the stream. It doesn't sound so, but dude, thanks for looking after me in Boston and sorting me out at the Encore Hotel in Boston. That was an amazing experience. We had a couple of drinks together and you bought us some memorable gifts, and thanks for joining us on the stream tonight, dude. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's, you know, a year ago today, you know, we did something great, and a year later we're talking about it, and it still is cool. And my Laurenography experience since then has been enriched. I got the dump, and you know, watching your content you've still been making, it's been great. So thanks for having me. Thanks everybody for coming in and checking us out. And yeah, I'm glad I was a part of that. Thanks.
Oh, cheers, dude. And Mebs, thanks for joining us again, and thanks, dude, for coming all the way from New York back then and keeping in touch, because we keep in touch all the time, so it's greatly appreciated, dude. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you for having me as well. It was well worth it, and I love your streams. I try to listen to them every time I can, and keep up the good work, because you're making people, I don't want to say happy, but keeping us thinking.
Right. Yeah, cheers, dude. I suppose it's a unique form of entertainment, shall we call it? Because you're right. Watching the Chris Watts documentary won't keep people happy, but it does make you ponder upon things, doesn't it? I like to think that my videos at least do that. And Shin, as ever, dude. Thanks for coming in. And I'm going on vacation tomorrow, so there's no going over the Lawn Street chat log this week, so we're going to have another break so we can be hot and fresh for the week after. So thanks for coming in, dude.
Cheers, dude.
And thanks for everybody. Yeah, cheers, man. And thanks for everybody in the chat. I don't know whether Watson's still here, but Watson came with us as well. If he's still here, it was absolute pleasure to meet you, and it was great to spend time with you and Shin and everybody. And guys in the chat, I hope you've enjoyed this little trip by memory lane. It kind of occurred to me a few weeks ago to do this because it was kind of a big deal, and it was for me to have this kind of trip to go to America and see all that and meet all these people. It was a big deal, and it was a big deal, in my opinion, for the community. Not just because I went, but Lorne was back in court again, and people who were invested in the community saw it happen. It was great, I thought. It was good that we could recount it to everybody and give a detailed description of what happened and see see this guy get shackled away, for his fucking petty, whatever you want to call it. There's no word to describe Lorne's behaviour, but anyway. So, guys in the chat, thank you so much. I hope you're all doing well during these crazy times. So, like I said, there's going to be a week off for the chat log this weekend. We'll be back the weekend after. So, guys, again, Shin, MEBs, and Sox, thanks for joining us. And
take care, man.
Yeah.
Take it easy, guys.
Yes, guys.
Cheers. See you later.